is the Elevated Look Show, hosted by Mark Stampfly.
Candis, thank you for being on the show. I know, you're from Puerto Rico, and
Yes.
you are an up-and-coming actress now in
Yes.
Los Angeles.
Yes.
So tell me about that. Tell me, I guess, first, how did you get to where we are today, where you're on, the Elevated Look podcast?
Yeah.
From all the way from Puerto Rico.
Yes. Well, I would say I started out my journey in, doing, music videos.
In Puerto Rico?
No, a few in Miami. I started in Miami.
Well, let's take a step back. How
Okay.
did you get, did your family move from Puerto Rico to Miami? And that's how, what got you started in the whole entertainment business? Because that's what I'm really kind of curious to see.
So basically, I moved by myself from Puerto Rico to Miami, and then I moved there by myself, and I just started doing, I worked in basically nightlife for a few years, and while I was doing that, I kind of, started doing the whole acting scene, and then started getting music videos.
When you're in the nightlife scene, was it more people coming up to you? And saying, hey, you could be good in film and modeling, or was it how did you start thinking? How did you go from thinking being in the events kind of industry, and then thinking about now being in more the entertainment side of media?
So no one really told me, hey, I think you would be good for this or that. It was more of a feeling that I got. I had been doing nightlife for probably 7 years or 6-7 years, a very long time, or probably a little bit more. And it was a feeling that I got one day. I just got a ton of anxiety and this feeling, and just, something really didn't sit well. And I was like, okay, what am I doing? And it just kind of hit me, because acting was something that I always wanted to do. So once that hit me and I started getting really bad anxiety, and I just knew what it was, right off the bat, I'm like, okay, it's just time to get out of the nightlife scene. So I quickly transitioned. Within 3 months, I moved from Miami to Los Angeles, and then I moved here. I stayed with family.
So it was a 5-month trend. So from the time that you kind of inside you're I kind of get you. You was kind of maybe this feeling I just have to do this. I can't. I'm gonna regret it if I don't. Just kind of this urge, right?
Yeah, it was really bad anxiety.
And then it was 5 months, and then you were in LA.
It was probably 3, maybe 4, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm and I had just gotten out of also a breakup, so I'm what, this is just...
You got that new motivation?
Yeah, it was more all right, I have nothing else here, for me,
Okay.
I've been doing the nightlife long enough. I know what I'm supposed to be doing now, so let's just do it. I don't have nothing holding me back right now, so I packed up my stuff and left. And pretty much it was the best, feeling and best thing that I've done so far.
Very good. And now when you came out here, did you have any family with you, or were you just completely on your own here?
No, so I have a lot of family here in California.
Oh, that's good.
So I quickly stayed with, my family members, my aunt, uncle, grandparents, cousins, all of that. And I stayed there for about 2 years. And I recently just moved probably a few months ago, probably 2-3 months ago.
Okay.
Just
Even
moved.
Closer to the action now.
Even closer, yeah. And ever since then, I've just been doing, short films and anything really that I could get my hands on, at the web series. And now I just recently came out in a show called Animal Kingdom. That's on TNT.
That's exciting.
So I'm pretty stoked about that, yeah.
And you were telling me that was filmed over at Warner Brothers Studio, right?
At Warner Brothers Studio, yeah.
Had you ever been to the lot before?
Never. It was my first time, so I was so stoked,
it is
so excited.
True Hollywood there.
Mm-hmm.
It has that nostalgia.
Yeah.
I interned there, so that was my first
cool
kind of foray into when I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
Had an internship on the Warner Brothers lot. Actually, 2. One with Joel Silver's company, and then another one with a company called Thunder Road Pictures. And it was a perfect place to kind of see really what that studio system looked like. Mm-hmm. So you kind of know, you feel like you kind of made it a little bit once you kind of walk on there. And
yeah, I was so excited. I texted like my family because I'm like in a group chat with them, like on WhatsApp. So I texted like my mom, my dad, like my brother, my sister. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm like walking
selfies?
in. No selfies, no pictures, but definitely like a ton of text messages. And I was.
Were you guys on one of the big sound stages, or where were you guys filming?
It was, I really don't have enough experience there.
I don't even remember that well.
Yeah.
I remember, I worked on a movie in, I think it was the biggest soundstage. I think it's the biggest soundstage actually in the U.S. I think it's staged, I don't know, don't quote me, but I thought it was 26. But it's like a 4-story with a basement. It's like massive.
It was something. I mean, it was pretty big. Like it was a huge stage. Like it was big. I can't remember the number.
But you were inside one of the studio stages, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know they have some outdoor areas there too that they film. Like, obviously, like the gazebo area is like that whole. They have a huge backlot.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of they film a lot outside too. So I wasn't sure if were you filming outside or in the studio stage?
In the studio stage, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Everyone's journey to in the entertainment industry is kind of different. Like, how did you? So you're signed with an agency, right?
Yes.
How did you go from just getting to LA? I think a lot of people would be interested to know this, and it'd be helpful. Like, how did you go from just getting to LA to being signed with an agency? Because a lot of people are looking for that.
And it's really hard, yes. So hard. I kind of have to say I kind of got a little lucky on that part. It was more so that I have like a really good friend, and he just basically introduced me to this agent, and I met up with him at a Starbucks, and we just kind of connected, and we talked, and he had just as much faith in me as I had in myself, and I think that's kind of what really pushed everything to get everything started.
Okay.
So yeah,
so it was a referral through a friend,
and
then you met the agent in the Starbucks, and then they signed. Did they sign you right then and there?
It just kind of
developed.
Probably like a week or two later.
Oh wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because I looked it up. Let me see exactly. Well, you probably can tell me. It's the Jerry Pace agency. Mm-hmm. But I saw the guy on there, and I've seen that guy before. I don't know him personally. I've talked to him before.
Okay.
Like Pierre or something. Is his name Pierre?
Pierre. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Patrick Pierre.
What's his name?
His name is Patrick.
Oh, I think he said Passion Pierre. I'm like, I should have remembered that. Patrick Pierre. Yeah, I think I've seen him at. I think he's a member of the TV Academy. I think that's what. I've seen him at some of the TV Academy events.
Oh, okay.
But I don't really know him. So. Okay. So how does that relationship work out? Is he, doing a lot of the legwork and trying to find you things, or is it, because you're new too. I mean, they kind of expect you probably to also search for your own stuff, and then he kind of helps you with the deals and things like that. How does the relationship work in that?
It's mostly, he's my agent and everything. So yes, he does submit me to the more bigger things like the TNT,
Animal Kingdom. So he got you the Animal Kingdom.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes. So he submitted me for that. He definitely, submits me for the bigger things, but I don't rely on them or him, right?
Sure.
I just still do my own thing. I still submit a ton, that's the goal. That's the key, I think, in life, is to just never wait for anybody and
Absolutely.
to just do it regardless, even if you have someone there or not.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that too. I think if anything, it's also, more so, hopefully they're looking out for you as well to get you jobs, but at the same time it's also a relationship where it's if you do find something where you're okay, I don't know, how do I do this entertainment contract, what do I get paid for each, then at least you have somebody in your corner. That's where they can really come in and kind of help. I don't know if that if he kind of helped you as well with the contract negotiations for the show and things like that, but I know that's a big thing for people, just so they don't get trampled on, in the industry if they don't have anybody. Right. So having that person who can kind of fight for you is good. But at the same time, like you said, being able to, do the work yourself, don't count on anybody because you never know. And sometimes, you know, people are busy and you gotta really kind of keep it at yourself.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
that's good you're doing that.
Absolutely.
Well, that's exciting.
Super.
I'm excited to see that. And so with this is in the season 6 of Animal Kingdom. You're gonna come out, right?
Yes. So I believe there's 5 seasons with Animal Kingdom. And I think from what I heard, there's only gonna be one more season left, which is season 6, and then that's the one that I'm gonna be a part of.
I guess the next question I ask a lot of people is like, you know, Hollywood's kind of changed a lot, especially since the pandemic. Like things are very different now. It's progressing. There's a lot of like, you know, like up and coming talent coming in. Like, I kind of call it like the new Hollywood. Like what do you see like when you think of like the direction of Hollywood? Like
Me.
wow, so humble.
No, I'm totally kidding. The new direction of Hollywood, I mean,
like, do you think it's like, you know, like I think a lot of people, like if I was to describe like kind of what Hollywood meant like maybe like 5 years ago, and might still mean, is a lot of people thinking of as like almost kind of an American dreamish kind of situation where they're coming, and this still happens. There's tons of people coming every week. And I always call it like the busloads of like, you know, new talent coming in every week to Hollywood to try to make it, their dreams. And they would, you know, come to Hollywood, specifically like Hollywood, like LA area. And they would pursue their acting, they'd pursue their directing. And that's how they're going to make it, like through this kind of like system of, you know, this network of actually being in the city. But I'm kind of wondering, is that, like, do you feel, and I'm kind of contemplating myself, like, do you feel that is kind of still the way, or is it, you know, with everyone being kind of at home and more remote now, is like new Hollywood, is it very like, you know, destinational, or is it more this like bigger thing now where it's like, well, you could be Hollywood, but you're in Florida or you're in New York, or is it still very like Hollywood's Hollywood and then New York's New York?
I think right now with, you know, social media and just, you know, like persistency, I think it just has to do with anything and everything. Like, I don't see like a limit, like, oh, well, it should be like Hollywood, or it's only now, you know, through the internet or like online. I think whatever you can get your hands on, if it's online or if it's in Hollywood Boulevard or if it's, you know, like in LA, I think you could definitely get a lot of things done even in Florida or, you know, New York. And because everything is so, like, even when it comes to self-tapes, like there's a tons of self-tapes now. It's not even like an in-person thing. Like I've done so many auditions for, you know, like New York, or for, you know, a show that was going to be filmed in, you know, Switzerland. Like, so to me it's just everything and anything, really.
Okay. So that's a good answer. I think that kind of fits. What would you say for somebody who's, you know, trying to make it in the industry? Would you say, like, would you recommend people like, hey, still like come to LA, get plugged into the scene here, or would you give them different advice? Would you say, hey, you know, start making your own stuff in your own hometown? Or I'm just curious to see what your kind of perspective is on that, because you're kind of, you know, again, like up and coming, so you have like kind of a fresh take on that.
I would say just, I guess, follow your heart. Like, whatever, you know, is whatever gut feeling you have is like best for you. Like, my example is when I was in Miami, I knew that Miami just wasn't it for me. Like, I didn't feel this is where I need to be.
How come? What was it about Miami that made you feel like this isn't for me? Or at least where, not necessarily that you don't like Miami,
right?
But
I love
it's just
it.
not the place for you to like kind of pursue your career.
It was just, when I tell you that it was just a really, really, really strong feeling of anxiety, waking up, just overthinking. I was driving and all I could think about is, what am I doing? I'm in the wrong place. I'm in the, like, it's
was
just
it because
a feeling
you felt
that
like there wasn't like
I didn't
of the kind of work that you wanted to do, because that's what I would feel like.
Not even that.
Oh,
like
wasn't even that.
I didn't even check enough. Like
Okay.
I probably took like an acting course in Miami.
Okay.
Like one class, and for like a couple months, but it wasn't even that. It was just a feeling that I said, "Oh my God, like this is not where I need to be." Like it's the weirdest thing. Like when you have like that gut feeling, like
intuition.
like you just know. So I would say whoever is an up and coming also just like me, I would say whatever they feel comfortable with. Like if they are okay there in Florida or New York or in Australia or like wherever, if they could get it done and they feel like they are doing the right thing, because everybody has their own path. So to me, it doesn't matter like if you're in LA or if you're in somewhere else.
Sure.
For me, I needed to be here. It was just what I felt that I needed to do.
Okay. And how long have you been in LA now?
Wow. It's actually, it was...
As an anniversary or something?
Yeah, it just hit 3 years yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations for making it 3 years. A lot of people can't even make it like one.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Thank
and you have a new place, you're on TNT. I mean, that's great.
Yeah. Super excited.
Yeah, definitely send me, well, I'm going to remember, but definitely if you get the like release date, let me know and I'll
absolutely.
I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, I'll be so happy to do so.
So the other thing I wanted to ask you about, I remember last time I talked with you and just for catching up, you were starting Jiu-Jitsu and like kind of, I saw your Instagram because I wasn't sure exactly what you were doing, but you listed yourself as Jiu-Jitsu and trick loading. Can you kind of go into that?
Tricking, yeah.
Is that what it's called, tricking?
Yeah.
Okay, I think you said trick loading on your Instagram. But anyways, like what exactly?
In loading.
Trick in loading?
Like I'm doing it and I'm like loading to, show you guys type of situation.
Oh.
So it's like jiu-jitsu and tricking, like I'm in loading doing it. Like that's what it meant. Like that's what I
okay.
meant when I put in loading.
But it's called tricking.
Yeah.
So tell me more about that. Like how did you I think I love when like people like kind of differentiate themselves and try to like learn new things and stand out, and it sounds like that's kind of a cool way, as an actress to like learn things that a lot of actresses will not know how to do. So like tell me how you got into that scene and like tell me about that. I'm not even sure. I know a little bit about jiu-jitsu. In fact, we actually have a jiu-jitsu artist coming on in a couple weeks, but I'm not as familiar with like the tricking and like also like the way it works into like, is it specifically for actors or?
Tricking is it's not specifically for actors. It's I just kind of went into it because with me, I just feel like, I just like to learn, like new things. It's an awesome skill to have if you're an actor, just even with, jiu-jitsu and like fighting stuff. It's just a great skill to have, right? So why not do it, especially if like you have so much free time, I just like to get into anything that would help me in the acting scene, right? So. Okay.
Did you get into that kind of once like a little bit after the pandemic started? Because you're like, is that when you started thinking about that, or was it something you always had kind of planned to do?
I didn't have it planned. It's something that came to my mind probably during the pandemic because, like I wasn't doing nothing and I was just
more free time
and everybody was, So it was just more of, I was on Instagram and I saw these like really cool, tricks that guys were doing, girls too, but just mostly guys.
Okay.
So I'm like, dang, I want to do like those backflips and flips.
Oh, wow.
And when I put my mind to something,
are we getting a demonstration today?
Maybe.
Yeah. Really? You can do the backflips and you can do that?
A front flip.
You can do a front flip?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because you're tall. Like the other thing is like, you're tall. And like as a tall person, I always knew like it's hard to do that kind of stuff. Like a lot of gymnasts are short, and so that kind of stuff comes a little easier because they're center of gravity is lower. So I mean, that's really impressive to be able to do some of that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's really cool, you know, and I just if I like something, I just want to learn it and I just want to do it. And I just want to, like, I don't need to be the best at it, but the fact that it just gives me like that satisfaction of like, oh my God, like I like that. That's freaking awesome. I want to do it. I'm going to learn because that's just how I feel.
So it was because you like saw certain things on Instagram and social media?
Yeah.
It wasn't that you're like, oh, I like jiu-jitsu, I'm watching jiu-jitsu matches, and then you're like going into...
Yeah, no.
Okay, got it.
No, jiu-jitsu was like more of a skill. I think it's awesome to have that, you know, skill. Mm-hmm. You know, especially...
It's a good self-defense, too.
Yeah. I actually wish I would have known about this a few years ago where I could, you know what I mean?
Oh, really? You got into trouble?
Yeah. So, but... It's all good. I just started doing jiu-jitsu this year and tricking also this year. So so it's pretty. It has me all sore from head to toe.
Yeah.
But
so what is? There's a couple things I want to ask you. Is like one, what is tricking? Like, how would you describe it? Like, what exactly is that?
It's basically like a mix of like b-boy and like martial arts.
Kind
type
of like capoeira, kind of.
It's like also like gymnastics types of, you know, situations.
Okay.
So it's very difficult.
Okay.
So we're doing baby steps, obviously, but as
it's more for show though, right? Like it's all for kind of. It's more of like a stylistic kind of martial art, like for show. Versus like actual practically like efficient.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. I would say so. It's really, it looks very cool, you know? And that was my thing. I'm like, oh my God, I think that looks so dope. I want to do it. I want to learn it. And again, it just looks awesome for like, you know, film and like for
a lot of stuff.
For like fighting, for like fighting scenes, all that,
Very cool.
So,
and how long have you been doing that? Like, how long have you been in the program now? What is a program, by the way? I don't really know too much about it.
So they basically just, the schedule's kind of been kind of weird because of the whole pandemic. Okay. So it's not really like a open gym.
It's not like a once a week kind of thing.
Well, people could basically go whenever they want, but these are people who already kind of know like what they're practicing when they go. As you know, someone like myself,
you're getting trained specifically.
I need to train, so I'm more like with like a personal, you know, trainer who's like training me how to do
So it's more one-on-one.
It's more like a one-on-one.
You're not in the group classes where you're doing all these crazy things.
Yeah, it's more like a one-on-one and yeah. So I would go like twice a week.
Okay.
Cause
what's the name of the program?
It's called Jam Movement.
Jam Movement. Okay.
I believe, yeah.
Okay.
I have to look up their IG, but yeah, Jam for sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And but all in between, like I'm always sore. So right now it's just twice a week. Yeah.
Is enough to kind of like are they like hour-long sessions or how long are you going for?
Yeah, an hour.
Oh wow.
Hour. Yeah, maybe 2. And then within that same week, like I'm also doing jiu-jitsu twice a week as well.
Oh really?
So
okay.
But
it's through the same program, right?
No.
Oh, it's different.
So it's 2 different classes.
Okay, so Jam Movement is the tricking.
And then,
but then what's a jiu-jitsu program then called?
It's called the Academy Beverly Hills.
The Academy Beverly Hills. In Beverly Hills?
In Beverly Hills,
okay.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yep, with Higan Machado. So he's like a very, you know, like well-known, you know, jiu-jitsu trainer for many, many years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Specifically for like more like actors and actresses?
Not specifically for that, but he does work with a lot of celebrities. He basically
Have you
trains.
run into anybody over there?
No.
No?
No, because I don't really.
One-on-one, or?
I'm pretty sure that he just does them, you know, one-on-one.
Privately, so it's less of a full ordeal.
Yeah.
You don't want people trying to take selfies while you're doing a hip check on somebody or something.
Yeah, but he's definitely done. Like he trains all the celebrities for sure.
Okay. you also listed on your Instagram you're a flair bartender.
Flair bartender.
Is that something like you still do? Are you full time? Well, I guess that was two questions really. Like I'm kind of curious to hear the flair bartending because I always thought that was cool. But also like, are you 100% in the acting world right now, or are you still kind of like, okay, I'm doing other things too while I'm acting?
I would say I'm 100% into my acting. That's probably like my main goal. That's probably like my number one.
Sure. Yeah. I get it.
Right now is my acting. Everything else is just to help
support it, right? Yeah. But does a flair bartending come into play with that, or are you done with that part of your life?
I'm pretty much so. Before I used to do it because it was a goal of mine. It was I need to learn this because it looks super cool. Like I told you, like when I see something and I want to do it.
You like that stylish performance.
I don't. I don't give up until I make it happen. Until I get it right. So I used to be a bartender also. Okay. And
in LA or Miami?
In Puerto Rico.
In Puerto Rico.
And Miami, yeah. Oh. Before I moved.
But
to
never
Miami.
in LA.
Never in LA.
Oh, okay. Because a lot of people come out to LA, and to obviously everyone has their dreams and goals, but you also have to be like responsible with like your expenses and rent and whatever else you have going on. Some people it's easier, some people it's harder. Yeah. And so a lot of people, it's a typical like, oh yeah, I am a waiter or waitress or bartender. So I would have guessed like LA would have been the place to do that, because it's good money too for a lot of people to help support that dream.
I hear it's really good money out here. I mean, I might be considering, like a side hustle here for a bartender. I mean, I did it for a few years, a long time ago. But I just kind of got out of that because after a while you just get tired of it, and I'm like, I don't want to do this no more. I'm also not 18 no more, so I'm like, I need my beauty sleep. I have to get out of the nightlife. You're a bartender at 18
in Puerto Rico? Is that the legal limit out there?
Legal age.
You can't do 18 here.
Yeah, no, I know. But the legal age out there is 18. But
wow.
Living out there, it's really not 18. It's more like 14. Because you could not working, but like going into places, clubs, drinking.
14-year-olds are drinking in Puerto Rico?
Yeah, absolutely. Like yeah, absolutely. When I used to live there, I was able to go into like a gas station and buy like a 6-pack of like whatever with no ID, that's how Puerto Rico is. But the legal age is 18. I think
is it a better system or a worse system?
I think if you're growing up, I think it's awesome, because when you're growing up, that's all you want to do. Like you want to party, you want, like you want to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I.
What do you think? Like, because like LA has a pretty big nightlife. Like being somebody from like that scene, do you like it still? Do you? Is it something that kind of like interests you, like to be like not necessarily to work in, but even just to go out in? Because there's a lot of like networking that happens in like the Los Angeles nightlife, but then some people also just use it as an excuse to like party.
It doesn't really drive me to hang out and party here in LA, especially coming from Puerto Rico and Miami, which is it's like a better nightlife.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Why is that? Why would you say it's better?
I mean, the number one reason is things over here close at 2 a.m.
Well, that is true.
Being from Puerto Rico and then Miami, I'm not used to that, right? Like,
what's the closing time in Puerto Rico?
6, 7.
Oh wow, okay. Because Florida's what, or Miami's 4?
Also, no.
6 or 7?
Also, like at least the club that I used to work in, that I still work in now, but I do something else, which I do massaging. That one's 24 hours. Like that one doesn't close at all.
But they can't serve alcohol for 24. They have to close. They have to stop at 4, right?
No.
Or they don't?
No.
Okay.
No. So it's just very different. So when it comes to nightlife, I would choose, like, this doesn't really, like...
Does it interest you?
No. I mean, unless it's for, like, networking purposes or like, stuff like that. But it's not exciting to me because I already did that many years ago.
Yeah. You're kind of over it?
Yeah. And it's not... now my focus is, I mean, I used to work it.
Yeah, so
so
you saw a lot. You saw the good, the bad, the ugly, I'm
everything,
sure.
you know, money, no money, like tired, like, you know, partying, drinking, like I'm good, right?
Yeah.
So it's not something that piques my interest, right? But if there's like a little side gig that if like someone wants me to do, then I'll go do it, you know.
Okay.
And I'll bartend for a night. But it's not something that I want to be like in the industry again, working 5 nights.
Yeah, you don't want your full-time thing. Well, with your bartender license, is it once you get it, you have it, or do you have to like keep updating it? Once you have it, you have it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know about too much about the the bartender.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess a couple more questions. I guess going forward, like, what are you personally excited like for in the future in your own life, whether that's entertainment or something else? Like, what are you most like excited about right now? What's driving Candis?
I would say just, you know, what drives me.
Yeah, like, what are you excited about? Like, if you're looking at like 2022. Let's not even talk about 21's still kind of a mess. Let's talk about 2022.
Yeah, hopefully 2022 is a better.
Looking at 2022, like, what do you, what are you excited about? What do you see yourself doing?
You know, I just see myself basically still, you know, hustling when it comes to acting, when it comes to, you know, making money. Like, at the end of the day, like, the hustle never stops and life keeps going, and you just have to keep being very persistent with the things that you want. So I just see myself, you know, still hustling in the acting industry, you know, doing many auditions, you know, getting to know many people until the right opportunity comes. I mean, I know it will come, but it just takes, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and like say, oh, well, by, you know, February, this is what's going to be like, it's going to I should be here, because realistically you just have to keep on with the hustle. And I mean, the hustle just never stops.
That's a big part of it.
In any aspect, when it comes to money, when it comes to work, when it comes to your dreams, like, the hustle just never stops.
Absolutely.
So.
And then what would you say, is there any kind of advice that you would give to like other people that are like just thinking about entering the entertainment industry? Would you give them any, maybe specifically with regards to like acting, like if they were just starting out, like say it was like your little sister and she's like, I want to be an actress too. Mm-hmm. What would you tell her? Like, would you give her a couple pointers on what to do to kind of start her journey?
Absolutely. I would tell her, okay, this is what you need. Like, you need this, and this, and then you have to start.
But what would be a couple of those things?
I would just tell her, okay, well, if she wants to be an actress, you know, first thing that we need is headshots, you know, acting classes for sure. Like, you can never know enough, or, oh, because I came out on this, nah, like, I'm good, like, I don't need that. Mm-hmm. That's not realistic to me. I mean, even the best actors out there, you know, like, they still get coached.
Still polish the game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Acting classes, you know, headshots, and you just got to be very, you know, focused and just determined on what you want.
Okay.
You know?
Very good answer. Mm-hmm. Very good answer. What would you say your greatest challenge is right now? What is the thing you're trying to overcome the most? Or is life just super easy?
Life is definitely not easy. Life has always been very difficult, but I think that, you know, I think, you know, like, we were born alone in this world. I think we just have to make it happen alone also. Like, we have to be, it gets very lonely, especially like when you focus like on yourself.
Sure.
But I think that's just life, and being independent is probably, it's a good thing, but it could also be very hard. But I think you just have to. When
you're talking about more about like when you say being on your own, like more like just being so focused in your own world that you don't have time for anybody else, like friends, significant other, family. Is that what you're talking about, or am I confused?
I think I can't speak for other people, right? Yeah. But I think for myself, I think it's been challenging to, you know, kind of be like on my own and to make the things happen that I want, you know, because I find that just being lonely is kind of hard, but I think that no one's gonna give you like what you need to do but yourself.
Yeah, you can't just wait for something to be handed to you.
And I think that's probably like the hardest thing for me, you know, like my family's like in Puerto Rico, like my siblings, my friends are, you know, like in Miami. I have family here, but you know, like everybody's doing their own thing.
Sure.
So it's like, okay,
you kind of feel like you're on your own.
Yeah, because it's like up to me to get things done. It's up to me to just. Yeah. And that's probably like the hardest thing.
Well, you're doing a good job, by the way. So
Thank you.
I'm impressed. So you're doing a really good job out here.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
You know, the last question I want to ask you is, you know, you're still up and coming actress,
right.
But you know, you've had a little bit of momentum. Like, what advice would you give to yourself like 10 years ago? If you were to go back and you were able to tell yourself 10 years ago advice on coming up in life, what would you say?
I would probably have to say 10 years ago, probably just kind of follow your dreams from the get-go and not wait or procrastinate when it comes to that, because for a very long time I was really unhappy and I always felt like there was something missing in my life. And I'm talking about from like the days from like my Puerto Rico days when I, you know, like when I still used to live there. I was so unhappy. I wasn't really sure what my purpose was in life. And then I went to Miami and I was living, but I wasn't happy. I was going out, but...
Just going through the motions.
Yeah, I was going out, I was hanging out with friends, but I was very like kind of zoned out in my own way. Like, this isn't for me. I don't know like what's wrong, but I know I'm not supposed to be here. And until I finally figured it out, and ever since I came to LA, and you know, started my whole journey with like the acting, I could finally say that I feel at home. And I've been the happiest that I've ever been, just being surrounded. Like, I feel like I'm in my place. Just being surrounded by other actors or like my acting classes. Like, I feel like I'm finally doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I think you gave a lot of great insight. And I look forward to seeing what you're up to in 2022 and how your journey progresses.
Thanks for watching the Elevated Look Show. Please hit that subscribe button. Thank you, and see you next episode.